Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on my show right now on Zoom, Dave Kerr, and he is the director, writer, and producer of Bloody Summer Camp. Hey, Dave, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
That's awesome. Glad to have you on. So I guess the first question I got for you is, what made you want to get involved with filmmaking and directing?
So I started out as a musician, and I always kind of had a fascination with making music videos. And obviously back in the early 2000s when YouTube was becoming a popular thing, we started looking into ways of making music videos to put on YouTube to try and get our music out there to more of an audience. So I started writing, coming up with the ideas for the music videos and kind of piecing it all together, coming up with characters and costumes and filming it and editing it. And that's where the concept for the original Curse of the Slash Nerds, my very first film, that came from. That was originally supposed to be a music video.
Yeah.
But as we got into planning it and as I started writing it, I decided that I wanted to make it into an actual film. And originally it was supposed to be a short film, but then it became a full-length film, and it just kind of grew from there.
Awesome. So can you let everyone know then what Bloody Summer Camp is about for those that are unaware?
Yeah, so Bloody Summer Camp it's a throwback 80s slasher. That's what we love. That's what us as horror fans, the 80s, the golden age of slasher films. And so, kind of getting tired of the whole remakes. And, I think one of my biggest problems with remakes is they always put it in modern time. And when you do that, it kind of takes away some of the magic of what made Friday the 13th great. Or Halloween. It was the fact that it took place in the 80s. You didn't have cell phones, you didn't have technology. Summer camps were a big thing. So I wanted to make my own 80s slasher, try to make something that's new, but also is gives you everything that you love from the original 80s slash film. So the plot is that it takes place at a camp called Camp Trustfall, and it's in 1986. And a group of counselors are gathering for the first day of camp, similar to like Friday the 13th, because we didn't want to, with the budget that we had, we didn't want to incorporate kids. So we obviously had to do it, during a time where there wouldn't be kids at the camp. So we went with the opening of camp. There's a group of counselors. They're there. They're cleaning the camp up, getting the camp ready for summer. When one by one they start getting picked off by a masked killer called Devilface.
Okay. Awesome. That sounds really good. I can't wait for this to come out. So, like, when can we expect it to be in theaters, or where are other premieres planned, or when can we view it and where?
So it's been viewed twice. It's been shown twice in theaters. It was shown at Carolina Fear Fest in May, and then in June we had our official premiere here in Virginia. But we have a couple more coming up. Two of them, the next two, are in Pennsylvania. We have the Nightmare on Film Street, which is going to be in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, on the weekend of July 24th. I believe our film plays at 7 p.m. There's a lot of films planned there. There's Blair Witch Project, Wrong Turn, I think Part 7, the reboot. And they got some celebrities that could be there. Damien Maffei, who's in Wrong Turn, and God, I can't remember the other guy's name. There's a couple, like I say, it's like 4 or 5 different celebrities in there. And so our film is playing at 7 o'clock right before Blair Witch Project, I think, plays right after us. And then at the end of August, there's a Creature feature.
Okay.
Bloody Summer Camp will be playing there as well. So that's the next two that we have lined up. As far as theater wise. Now, as far as Blu-rays and DVDs, people who contributed to our crowdfunder and got the Blu-ray or DVD either through our Bloody Summer Camp Indiegogo or our Go Away Indiegogo, we're expecting to be done with the movie because we're working on the extended cut right now. The cut that was shown in theaters is the original cut, and everyone who contributed to our crowdfunder gets the extended edition, which is an extra half an hour of footage.
Nice.
So we're hoping to be done with that by the end of July and have DVDs available for our crowdfunders and backers in August. And as far as distribution, as soon as I get the we did a few tweaks on the theatrical version. As soon as I get it back from my sound guy, we're going to be submitting it to a bunch of distributors, and whoever we go with, they'll decide where it's going to be released and when.
Awesome. That sounds great. It's super exciting too. I can't wait to see this. So what was the hardest part about getting Bloody Summer Camp completed?
I mean, there's a couple different things. If you're talking about like, if you're talking about like scene wise, like if you're talking about that,
anything, yeah.
Okay, if you're talking about scene wise, one of the most difficult scenes that we had to film was the campfire scene, because it's really actually kind of difficult to manage campfire.
Yeah.
And we had to have the entire cast there. And it was nighttime. It was we had to deal with bugs, we had to deal with traffic, we had to deal with rain, and it was over two days. We stayed there till like 1 a.m, and then had to be back the next day. And that was one of the last things that we filmed with the film was that campfire scene. But I think it turned out great, and I think it was worth everything that we put into it.
Awesome.
And as far as outside influences, COVID delayed us. We had already, we crowdfunded for the film in 2019, in June of 2019. And we thought about filming it that fall, but we decided to put it off till spring. And then, right when we're about to film in the spring, COVID happens. And so that delayed us about 5 months. So that was probably the biggest, hiccup as far as filming was.
Yeah, crazy. So crazy. Like COVID really put a damper in a lot of filmmaking, not even just indie filmmaking, but even out in Hollywood, like everything, like, film wise was just completely shut down.
Yeah, the selection the past few months is finally starting to get better, but I mean, it seemed like nothing new was coming out.
Yeah. It really did a damper on everything. So more on a personal note, which horror film or films are your favorite, and which ones got you into being a horror fan?
So yeah, my favorites always been, as far as the ones that got me into being a horror fan, it's always been the 80s ones, because I grew up, a lot of people say that they remember their first horror movie, and I don't, because I remember horror movies from as far back as I can remember, and the ones that I remember as a kid were, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. So there are so many films that I'm trying to reconnect to that I saw as a child. I remember them, but I couldn't tell you what the name was. It's been kind of like I'll run into them here and there. This was one of them. I finally got picked up, Pledge Night. Man, I remember this film for the longest time, and it took me forever to figure out what it was called. Right. So I'm deeply rooted in 80s horror, 80s slasher films. Some of my favorites, obviously, Halloween is definitely one of my favorites, but two of my other real big favorite ones is My Bloody Valentine. I'm a huge fan of that. I even love the remake. I didn't love it as much, but I did, appreciate it for what it was. And Slaughter High. Slaughter High, I feel like, is a very underrated film, and that one is definitely one of my favorites. Nice. And as far as newer influences, Argento, I really love Deep Red, and some of his. I'm not too big into Suspiria. I'm not really big on that hype, but I love some Argento films, and everything from the 70s and 80s. I just
yeah. The 80s, like you said earlier, the 80s are that's what made the 80s so great. They took place in the 80s. Like they have that campy 80s vibe to it, that if you make another Friday the 13th or you make the other Halloweens, they have like the Michael Myers in it or the Jason Voorhees in it, but they don't have that 80s campy feel to it like all the others do, and that's what makes them so great. It really
Yeah, if you gave me a film, a slasher film, and wanted me to remake it, I would have doubts about remaking it. But if I did, I would fight tooth and nail. It's got to take place in the same time period the first one did.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we might be able to upgrade, you know, a lot of things with the film, but you know, I think it took place in that time period. That's what people love about it. And you take that away, that's gonna be the first step to the downfall of the film.
Absolutely, it really is. So do you have any memorable stories from behind the scenes that you would like to share to the listening and viewing audience?
There's plenty. There's a lot. We had one scene where I don't want to give away a death, but someone was tied to some poles, and we actually had to film it twice. We had this actor. He's a trooper, because we did the first one in the fall. We tied him to a tree in my backyard, because there's no sense in paying for camp for woods, you know, when we film that anywhere. And we tied him to a tree, and his private parts are out in this scene. And it's not his real private parts, but still, it's still an awkward thing. We have a prosthetic, and he's got to be tied up. First time it's freezing cold when he's tied to it. And he goes through all this stuff. We get the footage, and then, you know, we tell him, well, we're going to do it again. And so we have to take him back again. This time we do film it at the camp. And this time it's hot as hell. When you see the scene, you'll see he's sweating. That's real sweat. It was in almost July when we filmed it. So it's right about this time. He's tied to a pole, you know, same thing. And he's got certain things being swung near private areas that he's not too comfortable with. And he swears up and down that he got nipped in one of the scenes. And the guy who plays Devilface, he's like, no, I didn't touch you. And so they still argue about that today, about whether or not, you know, but that just seeing him tied up and in that just really awkward thing, and then having to go and do it again. But that just shows you how great the cast is. You know, they really put a lot into this film, and you know, they were so easy to work with.
Absolutely. So, I guess, what was the most fun about filming Bloody Summer Camp?
I think it was the camp and a lot of the cast. You know, a lot of the cast that we're still friends with today. And I don't just mean that, you know, we're still working with them, but we're actually friends with them. You know, they show up to birthday parties, they show up to New Year's. You know, we're still hanging out with them because, you know, we actually became friends with these people that we never met before. But the camp was always a fun feeling. You know, every time we went to the camp, you know, it's a real summer camp. There's just a nice feeling to it. It's really secluded.
Nice.
You go out there and you know, we'll spend hours out there filming, and I'll never look at my phone.
Nice.
And a lot of us miss it. You know, we miss being at the camp, and we've got a plan that at the 1 year anniversary, we're going to go back. They have an Airbnb at the camp where you can actually stay at the camp, and we're going to go back and we're going to have a Bloody Summer Camp viewing at the camp.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun. So speaking of the camp, that was my next question. So which camp was it the film filmed at, and how can people donate to the camp if they would like to help them out?
It's Camp Holiday Trails. They are they're a camp for children with special medical needs. And the cool thing about it is they're 100% nonprofit. Everything that they make goes back into the camp. It goes back into, you know, making sure these kids have an amazing summer. And that was one of the great, you know, kickers about us working with them is, you know, all the money that we paid them, which they were very reasonable, very easy to work with. They gave us a pretty good price, but everything that we paid them, all of that went towards the camp. It went into the camp. It went into making the camp better. So their website, which is www.campholidaytrails.org, they have a donate button. It's on there all the time. They're always accepting donations. Like I said, they're 100% nonprofit.
Awesome.
Sadly, they didn't open camp again this year due to lack of staff. Last year, they couldn't open it because of the COVID situation. This year is because of lack of staff. They are doing a bunch of online stuff, and I think they may do some day camps. I'm not sure, but hopefully they'll be back in 2022 and back to normal camp operations. But every dollar that you contribute goes towards, helping that camp out. So
awesome. That's great. So definitely, if you're listening to this, if you want to help them out, go to their website and give them a donation. I mean, it really is a camp for a great cause, for children that, give them a good, a good summer, especially after this whole COVID nonsense. They deserve a good summer.
Yeah, and you check out their Facebook, man. They're amazing people. The people that work at that camp are they're amazing people. Awesome. And you'll see it, you'll see videos they post and everything. It's a really great environment. So
awesome. So the last question I got for you is, do you have any other projects in the works that you would like to promote to the listening and viewing audience?
Yeah, we have our current upcoming film, which is called Go Away.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a twist from what we've been filming before, but it's a modern film. It takes place in modern time. It's an intruder film. It's kind of something like along the lines of other intruder films like You're Next, Strangers, Purge, Vacancy, films like that are multiple killers that are attacking people and playing games with them at their house. But ours is a twist. Once again, being that I'm a huge slasher fan, ours is putting old school versus new school. You got these new school killers. You got these intruders who break into this house, with the intentions of terrorizing the guests in this house. But once they break in, they realize that they may have broken into the wrong house, and it's going to put old school slasher up against new school like intruder type films. So
okay, awesome.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We have a lot of people attached to it. Tom Matthews, who plays Tommy Jarvis. He also plays in Return of the Living Dead. He is going to be playing Chuck, which is the main house guest. And we got Felissa Rose, who we worked with on Bloody Summer Camp. She'll be back playing one of the house guests, as well as Tuesday Night, who was in Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Awesome.
And we also got Robert Nukes from Devil's Rejects.
Awesome.
So we got a pretty exciting cast.
That's awesome. I can't wait for that. That's something I'm definitely going to keep a lookout. Do you have anything else you want to promote?
No, that's it. Like I said, with the film that I just mentioned, Go Away, we do still have our Indiegogo open because it ended in March, but we're in IndieMan right now.
Okay.
And we've raised over $10,000 on IndieMan. So we're still keeping it open because we're still getting contributions. So if anyone's interested in contributing to Go Away and helping us make this film even more amazing, you can go search us up on Facebook or search us up on Indiegogo. Just type up Go Away. And also you can get your copy of Bloody Summer Camp through that crowdfunder as well. If you want to get the extended edition that our contributors get, you can get it through that crowdfunder.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. And thank you for joining me.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me.
All right. You have a great rest of your day and enjoy the weather.
Thank you. I will.
Yep. Have a good day. Bye.
You too.